Right on. We should be on in a couple of minutes. Chazat. Okay, there he is. Okay. Early show. What's up, Chad?
Hey,
there he is.
Morning, Augie.
So I got us running on a couple platforms, but I'm trying to get everybody on my Instagram. Come on over to Facebook. If not, what I'll do is I'm going to record today's session so that you guys can watch it at a later time. But let me see. Let me just get this all going. Record. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were just talking with each other a couple weeks ago. We have a new show called Augie T's Guest List, where we talk to people who are doing amazing things in the community, hands-on, people that are solving problems. And one of our guests was Chad Buck, founder and owner of Hawaii Food Service Alliance, LLC. Chad operates a family of companies involved in food processing and distribution. All of Chad's companies focus on building and equipping first-generation leaders and driving Hawaii towards sustainability, to having a food secure future. So, Chad, good morning, man. I know it's been a busy 5 days for you.
Yeah. It's it started. If you'd like, I'll just kind of bring you back to day one. I think today's day 11. On day one, I woke up early to a call from Governor Green. We were watching what was going on and through the night and waking up to the governor calling and not having fully assessed because it's still dark and just knowing that we needed to start prepping because we were going to need to start rolling trucks of water and food and aid and so on into the Lahaina, West Maui area. And so Governor just basically said, do whatever you need to do. If anybody gets in your way, if anybody stops you, call my cell directly and I will clear it immediately. He then put us in touch with Governor Bisson and Maui County Emergency Operation Command and embedded us immediately with two amazing people, one by the name of Locks and the other by Kaea. And over the course of the next, all the way up to 10 minutes ago, but over the course of the first critical 5 days, we were on a communication pace of about every 10 minutes and of just dealing with what was going on, what was changing on the ground, what needed to be where. And it's just, that first 5 days was super critical to just run out there and start setting things up. But it was, we were just completely immersed and embedded with EOC, Maui Police Department. And when we hit any snags, the governor got a call on his cell, General Hara, just significant sense of urgency that just took over everybody's lives for the last 11 days.
We just talked about this on our TV show. What would happen if there was a big natural disaster, and would we be ready? I mean, everything that we talked about just started for me, I kind of knew, I know they were going to give you a call. I knew that you were a phone call away, but take me through that process. because you plan for this stuff. You plan for, a tsunami, a hurricane, but a wildfire, Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this has such an emotional edge to it because there's not, we've had tsunamis, we've had hurricanes, we've never had a death toll. We've never, like this. We've never had scenes like this. We've never had the immediate loss of life like this. We've never had, I think it's 1,700 structures just completely obliterated and erased. And, you go through our first loads were rolling through police escorts while Lahaina was still burning. And you couple that with a 80-mile-per-hour wind driving into those flames and turning it into a blowtorch that was literally just incinerating the ships out and the boats out off of Front Street. And it's just, you can't imagine. People are going home. And I think one of the things that, priority wise, and I've got 550 some people on staff, and we've got so many people that have lost family members, lost homes, family homes, and stories of our staff that one turn wrong and they would have been incinerated because the roads were blocked and things were, by debris and all the stuff that those winds were blowing. But your people that are going home to this or went back to where their house used to be with an 80-mile-an-hour wind blowing, you've got, if it was CMU, like concrete block, it's still standing. But other than that, just the walls are standing. Everything inside is completely incinerated. It's gone. It almost looks like someone came in and swept where their house used to be and everything in it away. So you're going to an empty lot with just whatever concrete and some metal that didn't melt, and your entire life has just been erased from the planet all at once. And then you're going into shells and areas that there was some shelter or cars, and the crews are coming back and they're talking with us as we're rolling through and establishing where we're at, and you coming across a body of a mom who is clearly trying to protect her daughter, and both of them just gone. But a parent doing what a parent does, and any parent listening, I think, would know exactly what would happen, and what, it's just a mother being a mother, and both of them just completely charred. And so the people that have been trying to do things and get into that area and raising hell and causing all kinds of drama, it's like that area is sacred. And you can, when the governor and the National Guard and all that was like, and the Maui police chief and the mayor's office, that area, it was like, that is sacred ground, and there's EVs all over the place, and it's in the wind, and it's protecting the sanctity of that area and the homes and the lives and the lost and the families that have been so devastated by this. And so the people that have come in and raised hell on social media or done all kinds of stuff, it's just so hard to watch because are mourning deeply of the loss of their loved ones and everything that they had. I mean, you can imagine everything that you're looking at in your house, and it's gone permanently forever. Your pictures, your family, your clothes. And so that has been the focus of securing that. So the National Guard, now the Army, and all the people that have stood up to protect that, to protect those homes. And by the way, I used to work in Lahaina, and in that area, that is the heart and soul of Lahaina. That is the Hawaiian part of Lahaina. That's not the rich, fancy homes just before or after. That is the heart and soul of Lahaina. And it's protecting that and protecting the sanctity of that area, and all the acts of courage and all the acts as people were literally killed in a matter of minutes and hours. with that wildfire, driven by an 80-mile-an-hour wind. But that's number one. That's number one. And so I don't think people get the message, you know, as well as perhaps they should, because there's such a deep mourning going on and such a deep spiritual vibe to that place of sanctity, and to see some of the stuff that's going on is just absolutely devastating those that are trying to bring help.
So if you guys just jumping on right now, Chad Buck is with me now. In any kind of emergency, you know, when we're faced with a natural disaster, this is the guy the state is calling on, because you bring in the food, you bring in the supplies needed to take in an area. And what you described, I mean, we never ever pictured anything like this happening ever.
No.
That's one of the things that people got to realize, is that, you know, when there's a fatality on a freeway, sometimes that freeway is shut 24 hours. You're talking hundreds of people in one area, and that's how we got to treat it. You know what I mean? And we know there's residents that we got to reach to, but like our focus right now is got to making sure that that area, like you were just talking about, you know, it's sacred now.
Yeah. We
will. You guys are already, you know, boots on the ground. You guys are out there servicing the people. So provide a description of the early hours of the efforts to move, you know, aid and supplies to Lahaina and West Maui, Chad.
You know, when we were moving our trucks in, and you know, our trucks, you know, cameras on our trucks and so on, as far as the roads, you know, we're Lahaina's still burning. That's going on. We're on all islands. We have about 70 members, team members, and so these are our ohana, these are our family, and I mean literally bloodline family, and we're going through, and there's just such an adrenaline rush and just clarity of purpose that you will never experience in any other type of situation. And we've been at Estelle, we've after Hurricane Estelle, all the COVID mass distributions, the landslides in Waimea, the floods in Honolulu, you know, all the different things, the volcanoes, both volcanoes erupting and running aid in. Nothing could prepare you for what we're seeing in Lahaina. And our drivers going in, when others wouldn't, and others, you know, it was just going in, delivering that aid, setting up. Lahaina was still burning, and so you can't set up right there. So the first place that they set up was in Kapalua, because you needed to have some source that could run in and out of the areas. And so there's just a massive groundswell of support in areas that were out of Lahaina that knew they could still get into Lahaina as soon as the smoke started to clear and so on. But our drivers would go in and then coming back. So it's just this massive adrenaline. They're coming back. And the first driver, his name's Jay, he calls me up and he said, "Bah, I had to pull over at Olowalu because I just lost it. I couldn't drive anymore. I just lost it because the devastation that you could feel, and all the devastation in the area." And so our drivers are just breaking down after they're going in on those first runs, and just having to pull over because of the intensity of everything that was lost. And so it was the intensity of the loss. And then, you know, one of the things that has been stressed so much is we were running in truckloads and truckloads of food and water and ice for people to have coolers, and doing whatever we could as we're trying to round that up. And it's the place is a war zone. People are walking around that escaped, but there's no homes to go back to. And so, you know, where do you go? And so it's just it's otherworldly. And so you're just trying to do whatever you can to go in to bring this aid. And it's just unfathomable to try to just kind of grasp what was going on. And at the same time, the people that rallied to Kapalua, the people that rallied at War Memorial, when as you know, the first 5 days were critical. The next 5 days up until this morning is just kind of more of the structure and getting things and keeping aid going and so on, as those are housed. And, you know, within like days, Airbnb, governor's group working with Airbnb, 1,400 Airbnbs offered. We had, I think that within like 3 days, we had 400 plus hotel rooms and so on. So trying to get the people into shelter places. But we've got local families in Kahului and Wailuku that are holding 5, 6, 7 families in their own homes, on their living room floors, in the carports, in the yards. And there's just, you know, what you do is you run to family, and there's some foreignness of government, particularly now with some of the federal efforts and so on. But what you do when you're broken and you're hurt is you run to family. And so these families have come together, and they're just all together in these different homes. And so because of the relationships we have in the community, we're running stuff directly to these places that have 5, 6 families in them. But when we came back in the county and Locks and Kaea were working with the people at War Memorial and the volunteers, and they stood up immediately, took over War Memorial, and we started running tractor trailers, and thousands of community and families were coming in with whatever they could produce, and the clothes and the food and whatever they could do. And they started putting them, those volunteers just stood up, and it was families in central Maui in the valley that were just putting that stuff together, and we were running truckloads. And we had Kapuna, our guys on the our other people from our other operations were like, send me. And I got guys in there that don't want to come back. I mean, you go into that area, and Kapuna are coming up and just in tears, holding them, crying, praying for them, working with them. Because it was a family to family, a kako, the effort of just moving this one family to their family in Lahaina. And so that was the first massive efforts, with us just flying, shipping everything that we could in our resources into theater, into the zones of Lahaina, and then started the next days just, you know, building the different distribution centers and so on. But no one was prepared. And anybody that's saying, you know, hey, you know, you put a fire in an 80-mile-an-hour wind behind it, and it is an inferno. It is a blowtorch. There's no firemen, no policemen, nobody in their wildest imagination would combine a hurricane and a fire all at once. In that, it's just, you know, hindsight is hard to listen to. Anyway, but it's you know, the power of the kako by far was the spirit of what took over immediately.
You know, there's a lot of people that rely on social media to get their news, and just getting information coming out of Lahaina, you know, can send mixed messages. And you know, as much as we love social media, social media can also, like, you know, like give us wrong information. So I just wanted to know, you know, describe your interactions, you know, with the Maui County Emergency Operations Command, you know, because, you know, we hear, you know, stuff that's online, and you are there from day one, like you're just explaining for the last 10 minutes. So what has been your interaction with the Maui County Emergency Operations Command?
I can tell you that this has been, particularly the first 5 days, and the first 2, 3 were just absolutely just pure hell to go through, with no sleep. When you finally get to sleep with exhaustion, or you'd wake up processing and in tears almost instantly because of all the tragedy that you see and that you hear. And then you have the you have all the criticism. I haven't looked at the news since day one, if it has anything to do with it, because it's like all you could do is run aid, run full speed, do whatever you need to do. And so it's kind of like you've got all these people running into the fire, doing all the things that they're doing. And at the same time, you've got these guys and people and just causing trouble. And it's like trying to run a race when someone's, just running and trying to trip you the whole time. And all you care about doing is running towards those who need help. And again, you are treating that group in that area in Lahaina as sacred and protecting. Still, I think as of today, we're probably still less than 50% through of just home to home, room to room, place to place, all that, looking for those who have perished. And you're protecting that, and you're trying to set up all these things on the fly with people that have never done this before. They didn't sign up to go to go through hell like this, and now they're just fully engaged. At the same time, people are just causing trouble and saying things. And so I'm watching this, and before day one was over, we're talking and we're crying, and you just keep moving because you can't stop. And so you have heroic efforts, all the while being criticized about whatever's going on by people that aren't there, and not fighting the fight. So you got the hurting, and you got those helping and risking life, and then you got the guys that just hinder and just want to start drama. And it's just been so hard to watch. Maui Police Department, everybody that goes into that area is a blockade. So and it had to be a blockade because the people that were sneaking through or doing things to get in were going into those restricted areas. And now all of a sudden you got guard and police resources chasing the guys that are trying to pull stuff loot stuff out of the homes or take social media selfies or whatever. And so they lock it down. We're the only ones allowed with massive convoys because there had to be a level of trust who you let into this area. And so Maui police would wait for us at mud flats. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, part of it is that's your job. That's the reason why, you're doing what you're doing, because you got to get the supplies to people. And, we were talking about this for a moment. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we were talking about how, in situations, again, we never ever foresaw something like this happening, but we talked about like how, it'll become the Wild Wild West in places like if we had,
exactly.
Or an earthquake. Yeah, people are running, the emotions are running high, and I can see it on social media, and I know that people are passionate, but again, and I tell this to a lot of people, when there's an incident on the freeway, we're shutting this thing down. So this is, but we still 100, maybe 1,300 still missing or not accounted for, something like that.
Yeah. It's you try to get order as quickly as possible. And I, part of, and I should clarify something, we're called because we can act the fastest, because we're on all islands or whatever. I'm not a government agency. I'm not, I'm because we have the capabilities, and because we run containers, and because we're in food, and because, you had Costco coming to the rescue for us, because I need containers of water. I need containers of this. Before it never made it to the club. I'm buying full containers at a time and just moving them into, and they had the volumes and stuff. And I'm not talking just Maui. I'm talking the clubs on Oahu. Everybody's rallying to this. And so they allowed us and immediately partnered with us as far as providing and allowing these to have access to this. And so we're not a government agency. We just have an incredible staff of people all across the island that just know that when something happens, it's going to be us. It's going to be HFA. And but there has to be trust in the community. And so when back to the Maui police real quick, they're waiting on mud flats for the HFA convoys of tractor trailers just coming through. They see us coming through, three police officers, lights blazing, sirens going, get in front of us, to block the Lahaina side so we don't have any trouble there. The other one runs contra in front of us. Again, sirens blaring, and they stop the blockade action as we blow through. Maui, that officer pulls to the side and throws a shock out the window, and we just roll through and just never fucking slow down. And again and again and again. And so it's just been this massive effort. And so when people talk about whether it's the mayor or it's the command center or government agencies or whoever, it's like, all I know is heroes. And all I know is heroes that we didn't know most of these people 10 days ago. And I know some are going to go, there's going to be massive PTSD and massive mental health stuff going on for the person who's just bleeding out for this whole thing. And people are just talking shit. And it's just like, we need to stay together. We need to heal. We need to regain our health and wholeness. And what's going on now, there's such a need for just peace and calm as we focus on the hurting. And now we got guys in other areas of West Maui. It's like, bro, you lost your Wi-Fi and your power for a couple of days. Shut the heck up. It's like, that's not the hurting. It's how do you focus on those that are really hurting, but someone who's angry for whatever, or just trying to start some type of flame something up on social media so they get views or whatever. It's like, it's just so hard to watch.
Yeah. Do your best, Chad, and describe the impact to Lahaina, because we've seen pictures, we've seen drone footage. For the last week, we've seen just about every horrific photo we can see or video. But describe, because that's what you do. You're part of this task force that's supposed to get us prepared. So do your best to describe the impact for me and for the people watching this.
Now there's a significant semblance of order where we've got tents over this stuff. We've got people. We got a guy, one of the volunteers, the main guy at the main distribution site at Gateway in Lahaina, has been there from day one. His name is Chris. And, the day before, Chris would never imagine in a million years he'd be running the main distribution site for those in need. And so you have people that never would imagine they'd be in this position, but they stood up, right? They stood up. We got one of the leaders in Lahaina that was working just around the clock, no sleep, going. And I think it was day 4, in front of the whole group he was working with, just dropped of a massive heart attack because he gave everything to. And I knowing, and if he had to do it all over again, he'd do it all over again, because that's who's there. So you go back to Kahului and you go back to War Memorial. One of the things that's happened, and because it's such a kako story, it's such a family to family, ohana to ohana story, where when they stood up, and now we're moving and we cleared out War Memorial because we had so much product, especially on the clothes stuff. We don't need any more clothes. Good gracious. We got, I forgot, probably 30, 40 containers of clothes that are just trying to get sorted because they're not, we've been flying in, getting sizes and flying in stuff for people because there was such a need for putting somebody back. They left literally without shoes, without whatever they had on. And now that's all they have. And so, but we're, when the family started standing up and they put all that stuff together, and these are volunteers that just immediately answered the call, and now we're trying to transition out, and there's such a reluctance to transfer that kuleana to an agency or someone else and fill this form out or whatever and check this box. And so we're trying to, and there's mental health council at War Memorial in the tents and trying to bring people and just a huge number of support that way. But that initial Kuleana that had everybody so gripped, so tight, so focused, it's hard to transition that. And I'm working with because I'm going, we're in a different phase now. And as we start to bring, other services and people are finally starting to step up with kitchens and different things, we're going to help everybody step up. But it's hard to pass on the Kuleana. It's hard because it was such a connection and such a need. And these people are just heroes at every level that answered the call, completely unprepared, completely never done this thing before. And they're in there just swinging with all they got.
Chad, you were quoted stating that there are only 3 types of people in this event. What do you mean by that?
Well, number one, it's the hurting, those who have suffered unimaginable losses, and that's number one, and that's where everybody's focus should be. That's where the attention should be, and how do we bring health and help and healing and wholeness and help them rebuild and honor their lives and honor the lost. And that's the number one focus. And then there's a group that was immediately a groundswell of family members and neighbors and so on that just goes in to help that. And then there's another group that is just, if you're not the hurting that have lost, I'm not talking Wi-Fi. I'm not talking power to your house. I'm not talking AC. I'm talking if you aren't the hurting that have lost, particularly in these areas, in Lahaina, and you're not the helping. It's typically you fall into a different group, and sometimes helping is just supporting, not quarterbacking or hindsighting and getting in people's business and calling those that are helping names. And we had guys run up to our trucks, just, in early 20s, just groups of people that run up with their phone. We're starving. Why aren't you feeding us? Trying to put that stuff on their social media. Not starving. It's just, there's food everywhere. And not once, there's been no ask for ID, no ask for anything. If you thought you needed, 2 cases of Spam and 3 cases of bottled water and a bag of ice or whatever, doesn't matter. We don't even put security on the containers at night. If they grab it, they must need it. There's no, and so you got people that just running up on us and like, we're working around the clock. We're totally exhausted. Our drivers are doing superhuman things. And so is everybody else on the helping side. And then you got these crackers that show up and just try to do that and then post it. And, for likes or to, whatever they're doing. And it's just so distracting. And it's trying to make the people that are actually running and working around the clock, make them look bad. And so it's really hard to deal with that and everybody getting criticized when I know it's these people have bled out, just giving everything they have to help, and then to be attacked by this is just harmful in every way.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying about, social media. It can be the most amazing place if you need, entertainment, and some aspects are news, but then, man, it can be like the most horrible place. And, world is changing quickly. And I think, yeah, you see it a lot, they need like, they want to grow their following. So they do, outrageous things to get noticed, which is sick, honestly. So
we had just real quick, because the police would be taking just cracks at the blockades and stuff, and people would come, and I had a extremely high business leader in the state call me directly and say, what the hell's going on there? I've got staff members that are telling me that they got food and are trying to get in with their bag of rice or whatever they got, and they're not allowed in. And it's like, God bless them for their bag of ice or whatever they got going on. But I can tell you, I'm blowing in with 1,000,000 times that, with, just heavy loads going in. And there's so many people doing stupid stuff and trying to get in. Some are looting, some are doing just horrible things on the bodies of those that were perished. And so we're just really trying to dial it in. But when people say, well, I know there are people starving, I'm like, I don't know if anybody's starving. We've been everywhere in Maui Police and the National Guard and everybody. And if you know, tell us. We'll run it right away. And nobody comes up with an answer like that. So if someone knows of some little enclave somewhere that it got crazy, but people wanted to, and I understand that want to go help, but the protecting the sacred and protecting those homes and protecting those people or what remains is just of utmost. And that's Hawaii, right? We honor that. And so it's hard to watch some of the circus that has been around this.
Yeah. But, again, I go back to our interview, even though we weren't talking about, a potential wildfire hitting Hawaii, we just knew that that's how people respond. We become the wild, wild west. We become, sheriffs in our own mind thinking we got to do this when, there's levels of government and there's good people like yourself who not a government agency, but, private and public coming together to like make this thing work. So I get a couple more questions and I appreciate your time. I know you're busy and I wanted to get like a real insight and a good conversation so that people can see, what you guys doing in there. What has hindered? Because we see that too. What has hindered the efforts the most, honestly? Because again, we go on social media, we can get fooled by a lot of things, but what has hindered the efforts the most?
I think what's hindered the effort is the demoralization, the Monday morning quarterbacking and trying to question people, criticizing people, accusing people that are helping, and are standing up with enormous strength and courage. At the meantime, people are just trying to stab them at every level and say stuff. And so when you have that, it's just, that's hindering. When you go in there and operations have to stop because the police and the guard are chasing people, trying to get them out of the sacred. And so the resources have to change and divert because you got bad actors that are doing stupid stuff and hurting the efforts. And then I think just this general, there is a time to go back. And during COVID, we did the documentary, The State's Not Ready. We just released 5 weeks ago, Preparing for Disaster, Kuleana on KITV. And it was like, we are working, and thank God that, Governor Green gave the full, whatever needs to be done. There's a summit planned like a month ago that's going to happen in September, where all the other private industries that we're trying to go, how do we combine resources and work together to establish this. But as far as hindering goes, it's the people that just get in the way, or they're starting to harm those that are helping through their comments and the drama that they're creating because they want to be more popular on social media or whatever they got going on, while lives are at stake. And that's what I mean by that. I think too, what I think really needs to be focused on now, because you have more money raised on this tragedy, on the lives that were lost, than any other time in millions and millions and millions of dollars in hours. And more coming, a lot more coming from all the stuff that people are kind of coming in with. This has to be focused on the community, those that lost, those that, you get, it worries me with that much money and what's happening, and you got the hurting and you got everybody else. And the only thing that matters are those that are hurting. And this needs to be community. This needs to be honoring those lives. There needs to be, in my view, a community centers in areas of each island where you have the ability to kako everybody to pull together and the resources that'll be standing. We've been talking about this for 3-4 years now. This is starting to take place, and everybody, and part of the reason we were able to just get completely unleashed and go do what we need to do is because the governor's office and myself and some key people are just pushing this through. University of Hawaii is going to help with the summit. And this is all so, but now it's like with all this money coming in from others, it's like, brah, make sure that this goes to those that are hurting. And, so I hope that answers your question to some degree. This has been, you got 100% adrenaline and trying to communicate and then just hitting the stomach with emotion in the middle of just trying. So it's been a hell of a, this is day 11, I think, but it's been the first 5 or so critical. And now we're going into transitions and those types of things. We've been that for the last six days. But I cannot thank you enough and the community enough, and for your heart, Augie, I knew you know who you can trust, right? You know who the voice that people trust. And there's not very many that you trust, and that are going to stand up and do the things that are right and speak and protect the people that need to be protected. And so but the community that stepped up was, I've got, from the videos on my trucks to all this stuff from all of our drivers and all of our people, and everybody at HFA across the state has been send me. And I got, so all these pictures, and I'm trying to kind of sort through them. And there's some of them just hit you so hard that you just, because you go back in that time and you see that. And when there's a shot of the people that stood up War Memorial, and it was so, when I saw it, you just go right back to that time, and you see what our guys are going through, because and what the community did for community is beyond beautiful. And the other piece of this, I just got to say, because everybody wants to show Salvation Army, Naomi is the only person that I know in all those organizations that answers my emails at 2 a.m. or my text. And her people won't take hotel rooms because they're afraid they sleep in their cars. They're the Jesus side of the church and the organizations, but it's like, and none of them ask for anything. But if you want somebody that I'm just going to shoulder up with and go into battle, it's and so many unsung that just come in and they do this. And while everybody else is running around looking for attention. And it's so, anyways, this is such an incredible community gathering, and it needs to stay that way.
It's really showing, our essence of what Aloha is all about.
Yeah, 100%.
There are times before this fire, like, you question, is the Aloha still there? And how we're so divided.
Yeah.
We label when we all should be thinking, how do we just work with each other so that there's this harmonious thing that happens. And the only time you really see it is when there's challenges like this. The true heroes pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, that have that true essence of aloha and love. And at the end of the day, they're not looking at whether you're Republican or Democrat. I gotta go help because this is my calling. This is everybody's calling. At the end of the day, what we're seeing with people making donations, with people giving monetarily, it's just who we are. And if we can be like that every day, I know it's tough.
Yeah.
This world be such a more better place.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm pushing, we talked about it. I think every community should have a resolution center so that people know,
Absolutely.
look, this is where I gotta go in case of anything, so look, on Augie's side, I know we need money, and I know It's going to take time, but I think, we see what happened, and we can either be critical or go, look, what can we do better to honor,
Yeah.
right? To honor
Yeah.
and make this a better place, because at the end of the day, we want to take care of each other, and people got to know, like, where do I go if there's a
Yeah.
tsunami? Where do I go if there's an earthquake? Where do I go when there's a fire? And if it's not there, where? And people got to know there's got to be areas in our island, different communities. Like some of our communities, like 10, 20 minutes away. Go there. That's where we got to go meet, no
Yeah.
matter what. And I'm for that. I'm gonna continue to fight for that in our parks. But I got two more questions. I know, again,
Sure.
what do you see is needed the most right now? What do you see needed the most?
Healing, support, love, not just for the families, but those who have given everything and thrown everything that they possibly could and have at this. And if you can't give any of that, then just give silence. Honor those we lost, honor those that are giving everything that they can. And because there'll be time at some point or whatever to just kind of after action review what's working, what's not, and so on. I think the legislature needs to step up in a significant way and pass some things that need to be passed to start putting resources in different areas. And I think we're going to see that, because there's going to be an outcry for that. Already is. But the biggest need is healing. The biggest need is we're in this together. And if you could bottle the families in Lahaina that were helping families, if you could bottle the families in Wailuku, Kahului, and other areas that are sheltering and holding 5, 6 other families in their homes, if you could take that energy, if the energy of War Memorial and the families that stood up, if you could bottle that and just show the world that this is what aloha looks like. This is what aloha looks like. We're not divided. We're not divided. And just really that's the most powerful statement. The first 5 days, you're tired, but you're not tired. You just feel like you got a direct connection to an incredible energy from that just powers all that, because there's such need. And so you're just driving with that. And so, but when all your guard goes down and you're just trying to process what happened, it's a vulnerable, difficult time to be. And so it's really just the peace and the healing. I can't tell you. I mean, Brickwood from Oha calls me and says, "Bro, we got a pule chain that is just praying and praying and praying." And bumpy guys from the nation are reaching out and say, "We're praying, we're praying, we're praying." Bro, pray, connect, bring peace, bring healing. It's just, that's what's needed more than anything else right now, because aid and all these infrastructure things are coming into be. And then I think guarding, watching, making sure that any resources coming in go directly to those people and don't go to some other horse shed. Just, it needs to go to the people. Sorry. I've been controlled. If you'd have got me 5 days ago, you wouldn't have been able to publish or go live.
There's a side of me is like that too. 30 years I work clean, but when I'm emotional or when I'm around my friends, we just, it's just true self. That's who we are. We're upset, we're frustrated.
Passionate.
So where are we now in the efforts, and what do you see happening in the coming weeks, Chad?
We already have agencies on the ground. We've got Honokawai Times stood up already. I think they're closing today to kind of regroup. Napili Food Pantry, which is a fairly decent, is opening up on Monday. Lahaina Cannery is still working to get clearance from FEMA on just because these areas, the closer you get to Lahaina, the there's been issues with the air quality and the different things. And, there's right now the weather was downgraded to just kind of passing showers currently for Tuesday, but there is worry a couple times that there was going to be a storm or something coming in, blowing stuff everywhere. But Lahaina Cannery still hasn't gotten cleared from FEMA. There's a bunch of us are kind of ready and to go into that area and move in to rebuild and restock and get those places. But you can, if you're in Napili or you're in Honokawai or whatever, stock's going in there. The kitchens are setting up for those that need hot meals. But the real focus is getting the services and the aid and the put them in homes, put them. And these aren't like you're going to be in a hotel tonight, but we don't know where you'll be tomorrow. These are long-term, at least 30 days at a time that can be renewed. So you're working with the sensitivities. The Brian Schatz, Senator Schatz and Gov and different agencies are just pouring in for the mental health, for the support, for the unemployment, for all that type of thing, all the insurance stuff, and just really trying to surround and malama the community and those hurting. And so that's the real focus. And if I can get the guys that lost power for a couple of days or don't have Wi-Fi, that are mouthing off left and right, if they just be quiet for a while, it'd be handy, it'd be helpful because they're a distraction. And so just really focusing on the hurting. And when I say hurting now, it's those that we're helping that are hurting because of all this drama that this social media stuff has started and all the accusations. And, if the press is going in trying to find a horrific story to sell more clicks or links or whatever, it's so hurtful. It's so hurtful. And so you have these people that have just, I know there are people that are suicidal now because they're getting blamed for stuff that they never had anything to do with other than trying to be there to help. And so, but the next days, as the private industry starts coming back on with the stores and all that, this morning, I think we had 148 volunteers bust in, clean, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, who can we help? Who can we whatever's, right? This isn't the war zone it was, 10 days ago. This is really developing in, the Gateway is going to Queen Kahumanu Center and Gateway are going to be giving everybody a rest tomorrow. Those that are in shelters or whatever and find shelter or whatever are, they've been being fed for a while now. And so they're going to take a break. I know we've got, pretty sure the president's going to be in on Monday. And just kind of making sure Gov was talking with President Biden like super early on and just disaster proclamations, all that type of stuff. So it's like, how do we get as much help to the hurting as possible? And that's taking place now. And so we're running reefer containers up to the people that are doing kitchens and different things like that for whoever. Nobody's asking for IDs. No one's asking for anything. This is like whatever anybody needs. And so you just want people, if you don't need all that free toilet paper, ice, and, Spam and Vienna sausage and all, if you don't need it, bro, don't go take it. Don't go take it. Just let the hurting take it. The people that actually need it, take it. And so that's we're in this next phase. But I think for the community, protect what happens with the money. It's just make sure that goes to the hurting and not something else. It needs to go to those that are hurting. And there's such an enormous amount. It needs to be covered by the community and really kind of watched carefully, in my view.
I think it's a good time for us to really take a look at ourselves, take a look what's around you. And I think there's so much lessons to be learned.
Yes.
And there's so much beautiful things that's being shown.
Yeah. Oh, huge. There was a Hawaiian lady who came up to me and just had to talk. And she came up to me and she's crying and she's like, there's another fire coming. There's another fire coming. And it's the fire that's stirred in the community to care for a community. And we're not going to put up with not taking care of our own. We've done a great job of taking care of the global elite to come to Hawaii, but we haven't taken care of our own. We've sacrificed our own on others. And we've been saying this, you and I have been saying this for a long time, and that we need to care and malama our own and those that are hurting and those that don't have housing and those that all that and really focus. And so that second fire that's coming, I believe that's prophetic. I believe that is what's needed for people who call Hawaii home for generations can come together and care for our own and make sure that we're caring for our own before we care for anyone else. And so keeping everybody together on the healing process and keeping that solidarity and just that community and that ohana is so critical as that new fire burns in our hearts to kind of just move us towards just watching for our own, caring for our own, feeding our own, growing for our own, protecting our own, and making sure that stays number one. And so if there's that second fire coming, and I pray to God it does and will, and you can kind of feel that heat starting and rising. And so that I think is absolutely crucial that we're all on that. And you're leading the charge with so many ways, Augie, and just mahalo nui to all that you're doing and your heart for others. And so yeah, I'm just that's what I'm hoping that this moves towards.
No, same here. I think it's time for us to not just sit back and not do anything. We know.
Yeah.
If you don't see it or you don't feel it, then you got to ask yourself, do I really care? Because
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity. So, off of the backs of, like you said, the old Maui.
100%. Yes.
Not,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
my dad who grew up and was born on Maui, his friends, his family.
Yeah.
We know who lived there. We know.
Yeah.
And have we really taken care of them?
Yeah.
Prior to this.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Maui. I'm just talking about in our communities here on Oahu, on the Big Island, Kauai. Are we really taking care of each other? And through tragedy, right?
Yeah.
That teaches us great lessons. So we can either complain, but honestly, they're not gonna do nothing. You gotta respond.
Yeah. You know what has stepped up, and so day one, everybody doesn't know, nobody knows there, you're just in this fight, right? And our drivers are going back and forth. And we say this at HFA, it's not unusual at all to go, when you're finishing a conversation, go, I love you. And these are like, bro, we got tough guys. And now with working with the emergency command center, and everybody's under such stress. And so the different calls and stuff, it's, I can't tell you, we've said I love you more in the last 10 days than we've said in the last 10 years. And it's just this heightened sense of aloha and community and connection among those that are bringing aid and bringing aid to those that are hurting and in need. And so it is such a, and our guys, tattoos everywhere, and in tears serving, in tears talking about what's going on as you debrief at different times in the day. And it is like, it is, if you could bottle that, if you could keep that liquid aloha, just all the tears that have been shed, and just it's incredible. And so just so grateful for the community that has stepped up, the community that is focused on healing. And as we pass that kuleana over to, we were there when the Haina was burning, and now we're moving towards gotta heal. We gotta, and so it's a different phase. And there's parts of it that are hard to let go because there was such a united front moving in, but letting that go as we move into the next phase of healing and so on. And so we're in a transition. We've been in a transition for a while, for a few days. And so, but yeah, the lessons learned of what Hawaii looks like in a disaster of epic proportions is, I would be anywhere else other than here to go shoulder to shoulder with the people in this effort, and Hawaii is absolutely magical. And the feds guys coming in can't believe how fast everybody pitched in, but it's Kako. You know, you throw tens of thousands of people together that all they care about is family, shit gets done fast and focused. And so it's just so many things have done, but it's the power of the Kako. And thank God we've got in my case, everything that I've seen, he's just like, whatever you need, get about. And a couple times that's happened where it's like, you know, and cleared in a matter of a minute or two. So it's just been, but overall, the power of Aloha and has been absolutely amazing. And so I just want, and I think the message is, let's heal. Let's heal.
Perfect way for end this this talk story time. I cannot thank you enough, your crew and everybody out there watching, your family members that are out there helping. And again, what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll give real quick. Derek, Dennis, Kavika, Kea, Jay, Ikaika, Albert, Mark, and Ernie, and all of our HFA family that have pitched in here. Much mahalo, much love. I love you, Augie. I am grateful for you. And when you go through there and you see all the lives that were lost in a matter of hours, nothing else matters. This matters, but nothing else matters. It's like, it's just, it changes. It is a spiritual experience going through there. And whether it's the ashes of those that were lost or just the spirit in general, it's life-changing, it's pivotal, and it needs to change the state. But love matters. And so this matters, that you're getting this message out. Mahalo. And thank you for all that you bring, and the healing and the malama that you bring to the community.
I appreciate you spending time with me, and I appreciate that Godwin put me in front of you. You know what I mean? It took.
Likewise.
Yeah, you know,
Likewise.
and that's the beautiful thing about life, right?
Yeah.
And now, you know, we all we can do, honestly, guys, is just be better people every single day. And it's unfortunate.
Amen.
It's always off the back of something that has gone tragic, you know, terribly wrong, tragically wrong.
Yeah.
But that's, if you believe in God or whatever you believe in, that's somebody telling you, somebody's nudging at you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can stand on the side,
Yeah.
nothing, complain, or you can really grasp this amazing spirit that we all have.
Yeah.
You know, and move this island and people along. Chad, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and
I appreciate you.
Praying always, constantly for you and everybody out there watching. Thank you guys for tuning and watching.
Mahalo, everybody. Mahalo.